Hello and welcome back to another shining episode of Controllers and Couches. I am one half of the duo, FullMetalChicken.
And I'm Steph.
And welcome back, or welcome to the first episode of your listening adventures, if you have come into it at this point. If you have come into, interest of this channel in this first instant, there is another 35 of these enjoyable encounters prior to this. If you've listened to all 35 prior to this, I apologise in advance for the sound of my voice and my shenanigans. And thank you for staying on board and putting up with the sound of my voice, because apparently it's like fingernails on a chalkboard.
Says who?
It says some people. So they say I have to be a bit more, speak a bit more clearly and enunciate my words. So, that's kind of funny.
Well, I apologise in advance, everyone. Well, in retrospective analysis, because this episode is going to be over 24 hours late, just because it's been a full-on week, I think, for everyone.
I've just been stuck at work, and it just hasn't been possible to actually get any downtime to actually record. It's just one of those things, and
it's fine. We're here today. It's like we ditched an episode. It's just that it's going to be a little late, but I hope you guys do not mind.
Yeah, because when people throw overtime at you,
you're going to make that moolah.
You, as they say, when it's sunny, make hay.
What's new with you, buddy? What's new in your life?
Well, I got Doom Eternal.
Dun dun
dun dun dun. And for all of you guys listening, as you know, I'm a bit of a retro gamer. But Doom was one of the key games of my childhood and my teenagehood and my
life.
in the hood.
On the mean street, on the mean country streets.
On the mean country streets, watch that sheep. So, which reminds me, I'm half tempted to watch Black Sheep tonight.
Oh, no.
It's such a good movie.
You're wasting quarantine time.
Yeah, I know. Otherwise, we watch, was it Containment? Contagion, sorry. Yeah, Contagion also.
It's a little bit triggering.
28 days later we can watch.
It's a little bit triggering.
But essentially, I got Doom Eternal, especially the helmet. So I've been running around the house wearing a helmet.
He hasn't been running around the house wearing a helmet.
Okay, you were
He
running
tried
around.
it on.
And it fit.
And you put the batteries in.
Yep.
The lights worked. We were all like, woo, woo.
This is good.
And then you had to go to work.
Yeah, then I had to go to work.
Let's be honest.
But on the bright side, it finished downloading before I went to work, and I haven't had a game since.
I am so impressed that there is no 50 gig update like every other game that comes out. I'm actually quite impressed with them.
And I was actually speaking to a few people who have actually played it, and apparently it's just in your face from the get-go. There's no wind up to the just action. It's straight into it. And for anyone who hasn't played Doom, it's definitely one of your hardcore action, first-person shooters, extremely violent. It's in Australia with an R18 plus.
Without giving spoilery, can you give the premise of the game?
So premise is essentially that you are the Doom Marine or the Doom Slayer, and essentially what you are battling is the forces of hell on Earth.
Is it Earth or Mars?
I'm not going to give any spoilers because So essentially, there's a portal to hell,
and you have to go through it to fight.
And vice versa. They come to Earth,
back and forth.
So it's very much full-on carnage, and it's just I could talk about more in the next episode about it. That'll be.
You've got some more game.
Exactly, but it came out with a remastered edition of Doom 64 as well, which I'm really interested in playing. But I've pretty much played all the Dooms, I'm pretty happy. And Nightmare mode is just completely insane, because essentially you have to play through the entire campaign
and then unlock that, and then have to play it again without dying.
And you can't finish Nightmare without.
So you can't die.
You can't die. If you die, that's it. Game over. Yeah. So remember that day when I was playing the last one and just barrels. I'm very good at shooting mine. Shooting barrels and they explode. What else? I unlocked. I'm two games away from unlocking the vocal shotgun in Call of Duty, but obviously gaming has been set aside. So I think also I may need to crunch out some numbers on that, only because remember how we sat down, we worked out that I needed to sit at about 2 levels, or about 2.5
levels a day to get there before the month roll over.
Yeah, I'm nowhere near that, so I have to get back into that. What other games do I have? There's Darksiders Genesis. It is Genesis.
Yep.
Yeah, we've got that today. So for all those people out there who like button mashers, it's up there with God of War. I personally prefer this one. But God of War has always held a special place because you can, basically run around with frying pans. But yeah, essentially this is kind of a prequel to Darksiders. So this character that you're actually playing at is Strife. But Darksiders deals with the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse.
So is it a horseman per game?
Yes.
And you fight as a horseman? Or
yes, you fight as the horseman.
So you as death, you're as pestilence, you're as plague.
Exactly. So in the first one you were war.
Got it.
Yeah. So that was cool. The sword is just crazy. But it'd be interesting to see sort of what they do with the next one. But I looked at some of the work on this and I look forward to it. The one that I kind of went at was Diablo. They brought it to mobile. And I remember when they did the release and someone actually stood up in the auditorium and just bagged them, and it apparently went viral. It was hilarious.
Oof.
What else was there? It's more just trying to find an old joystick to play TIE Fighter, but that's like a work in progress because I just got to fix some stuff up so I can play. Also, if anybody is in fact listening to this and anybody knows of a good external optic drive, Blu-ray preferably, can you just PM us and give us some ideas? Because that'd be really great. I'd appreciate that because I need a external optic drive for my laptop. Yeah, so I'd appreciate that if someone can give me
the 411.
The 411 on that, that'd be great. Because obviously when you start getting PC games and you want to run discs,
it's a bit of a struggle.
It's a bit of a struggle. Exactly, because generally, as much as I'm very much into console games, console games, it's very much a case of PC Master Race. Also too, on that note, I got an email from Wargaming for World of Tanks. Because of this whole quarantine thing, 14 days. They're giving a 14-day pass of premium. So anyone out there, I know a few people who are actually into that. So Wargaming has sent out that for a 14-day pass. So that's just premium and everything. So you get a bit more XP in that. So
do you know how much?
It's just per game. Okay. It just I can't remember the percentage. But also too, the only real update that I have is that because of the worldwide shenanigans at the moment, deliveries have been delayed, shipments have been delayed, and international, and essentially that's a big problem for me because there are there are a few things that I'm actually waiting on at the moment, and it's very critical to the channel that they arrive soon. It's because I'm just telling you guys right now, we were actually talking about these about 2 years ago. And then when we got this in plan and things and parts and everything, spoiler alert.
And to be fair, it's not like you ordered this last week.
No.
They were ordered like 2-3 months ago.
Yeah.
And you're still waiting for stuff to come through.
So essentially I need to clean up about 1-2 meters of space and potentially even get a Perspex cabinet to run this in. But essentially there's a new
kit on the
way. And on topic of kits, people who are really interested in, I suppose, Lego MOCs, check out a guy called, I just completely blanked, Mirko Sapelsa. Check him out. There's a few kits that he's done, like regarding the U-Wing, which, or if anyone knows what the Star Wars U-Wing is, check that out because it's a very sweet model. It's very stylish. There's stylish in the sense of, I think some of the older Star Wars UCS kits that came out, they're a bit more blocky in a sense that they don't look as... what's a nice way of putting it? They look a bit clunky.
Not as sleek.
They're not as sleek. So a lot of the kits now I'm looking at kind of going far out. I don't have the time to build these, but they're just magnificent. Magnificent. So, yeah, that's pretty much my updates at the moment. Gaming, I've got to crank out Doom, I've got to crank out Call of Duty, and I've also got to finish Wolfenstein. So that's my goal at the moment. So I haven't done any reading. I listened to some podcasts. I've essentially just been going through Rammstein, not really Linkin Park, more Metallica, AC/DC, Master Plan, heavy metal. It's been heavy metal time for me.
Yeah, it's the time of work here for you, I think.
Absolutely. So that's pretty much all I've been up to.
So, do we turn tables now?
Yes, but
I has the floor?
You has the floor now.
Today's my first day of, half day. Tomorrow will be day one officially, but of lock-in. So Melbourne, Victoria got the whole, if it's non-essential, shut that shit down.
Yeah.
Same on my boss last night, because everyone was just waiting. We don't necessarily know because there's no word about universities.
Yeah.
So I just pretty much said, look, because I was working and going in every day up until this morning, I should say. So
yeah,
pretty much just said, I'm going to be working from home, going to be working on that thesis. And yeah, just try and grab. And it's not like we're stockpiling. It's literally just grabbing the things you need.
Exactly.
For 2 or 3 days. And then that's pretty much it. So that's what we've been doing. And then, yeah, in terms of anticipating a lock-in, I did end up signing up for, Xbox Game Pass?
Yep.
Not the PC and Xbox version. That's the ultimate kit. I just did it for the Xbox, the console one, because I primarily just wanted to kind of slowly get back into the gaming and whatnot. So it's not like I'm going to keep the membership around forever. It's just specifically, I guess, this month. And the stuff I've downloaded thus far is Thimbleweed Park, What Remains of Edith Finch, Braid, super hot. I played like 30-40 minutes of that before it did my head in, and I was like, nah. I've downloaded Go Nana, the Blueberry Edition, and I started Life is Strange 2. I think I'm about a third of the way, maybe a quarter of the way through episode 1 at the moment. And I've also downloaded Maxicus of Brotherhood and Oxenfree.
Yep.
So just going to slowly be working through that. And today, for the low price of $4.95, I picked up the League of Light duology, The Gatherer and Silent Mountain.
Ooh.
So again, something we kind of need an optic drive for, but we'll play it when we can.
Absolutely.
That's pretty much it. In terms of reading, just because I've been doing a lot of going in on the weekends and whatnot, early mornings, late nights, I have been listening to a lot of audiobooks.
Yep.
So let me just go through my list, if that's okay, because I won't be able to remember, because there's been a few. Where did I finish off? Oh, so the last time I left off, I said I finished The House of Earth and Blood by Sarah J. Maas. So I went through and I reread the Vampire Diaries book series. And then after I did that, I had to finish the last book. It's always book 5 in YA or any book series that takes me forever to get around to. But I finally finished the Fever Code, which is book 5 in the Maze Runner series. And then I was listening to the Crown's Game duology, and now I've got 1.5 books left in The Secret Circle, which is the witch version of Vampire Diaries.
Yep.
So I've been working through that, and I'm 2 out of 3 books down into All the Boys I've Loved Before. So I've just got the last book to go. I re-listened to A Court of Thorns and Roses. I finished Bridge of Clay, which was an absolute push to go through. I'm so grateful we only paid, I think, $3.50 for that book.
Yeah.
Because, oof. But that's pretty much it for updates for me.
I sort of also think, do we come up with there's some, I think the key thing, everything I've been discussing at work is viral movies, pandemic movies. So what I actually have, which I could potentially, should I actually mention a few that are really good?
Okay, the ones that you like.
Okay, so one of the first ones that I saw ages and ages and ages ago was The Omega Man from 1971. It's very similar to I Am Legend.
Okay.
So essentially, these three movies sit around like The Last Man on Earth, which is from 1964, The Omega Man, which is 1971, and I Am Legend 2007. So essentially, it's multiple adaptations, but the 1954 novel is called I Am Legend. So yeah, it's low budget, but the one in the 1971 film, Charlton Heston just kicks it out of the park. So yeah, you got to love a good viral, movie. You've also got Seventh Seal, which is from 1957. It's by Ingmar Bergman, and essentially it's a bit like, well, a lot of jokes from Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, and it's set during the Black Death plague of the 1300s. And essentially what this guy does is encounters the Angel of Death, and they play chess for his soul. So very, very interesting. Another one is, obviously, this is one of my personal favourites, The Andromeda Strain, 1971. It's based on a novel by Michael Crichton, and essentially it's about an infectious organism fell to Earth from space. And I remember watching that one a lot. That one's cool. Obviously, if anyone's seen Dawn of the Dead, everyone loves a good zombie movie. 1978, and there was also a 2004 remake, and it's by George A. Romero, 1978, and it's an extremely clever satire of consumerism. So essentially, you just look at the zombie apocalypse. Obviously, we're not in a zombie apocalypse, but it's more like a plague. So the plague part of it makes it interesting. And if you're up to date with all the global pandemics that are going on, not so much the fiction, definitely the non-fiction. So that's what I also enjoyed. If you're a researcher and you love monkeys, Outbreak, 1995.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah. So essentially, it's as we put it, it's one of those hemorrhagic viruses. So and it cranks out in a small American time. And essentially, it's just, the old CDC racing against the clock to stop it from spreading, which is essentially what's going on.
And just be careful. You don't want to scare yourself or creep yourself out. No. So if you find it, and I don't use the word triggered in a ha sense, but if you actually find that this stuff, further stresses you out, please don't go out there and watch that stuff.
And this isn't to just, scare people. This is more just to see how... people have taken an idea and run with it.
It's a movie.
Exactly.
It's not based on fact or anything like that. So don't get too... Yes, I'm not in any way, shape or form saying what's going on isn't serious. What I'm saying is, if you find this stuff to be triggering, don't watch the happier, lighter stuff. Yeah.
Go watch, stuff like Shrek.
Oh my God.
No, in the sense that...
Anyway, now that you're done waddling on, let's get back on track.
Okay, so there was Outbreak, 1995, and it's essentially... A army general wants to take a virus and use it for a bioweapon, and he wants to prevent the cure. So that's that one. Then you got 12 Monkeys, which is 1995. That's a good one with Bruce Willis. And essentially, it's just a case of a time traveller being sent back to the 1990s, and essentially he has to identify the origin of a global pandemic that essentially nearly wiped out humanity. So I'll leave it at that. Next one we enjoyed. We've actually seen this one multiple times. Cabin Fever from 2002 by Eli Roth, and essentially some recent college graduates get infected with a flesh-eating virus during a camping trip. We watched the remake in 2016, and essentially I know that there's people now who will not go camping because of this movie. Next one everyone knows, Resident Evil, and that's the entire series from 2002 to 2017.
The umbrella car.
The other day we were out shopping and actually just driving down the street, and a black and white just Commodore, no joke, decked out to be a police car.
But it was a Chevy.
It was a Chevy though. Decked out to look like a police car, no lights or anything on the top, but it had the Umbrella Corp decals on the side of the car, and we were sitting at the set of lights just laughing because it was absolutely hilarious. So, so if you don't know what the Umbrella Corporation is and you don't know what Resident Evil is, all the gamers out there are like, haha, yes, stick to the games, because Resident Evil 3 is cracking a remake. But essentially it's just it stars Mila Jovovich and lots of zombies and monsters.
There's like 5 or 6 movies in that universe, isn't there?
Yeah, we went and watched the last one, and we were just like, geez, is this still going? Next one we've got is 28 Days Later. It also had a sequel called 28 Weeks Later.
Yes, you do.
Yeah, so 28 Days Later came out in 2003 and 28 Weeks Later came out in 2007. And essentially it's an absolute cracker by Danny Boyle. And it's essentially directed by Jan Carlos Fresnadillo. And essentially it deals with a viral pandemic. And it essentially turns anyone infected into permanently enraged monsters. So similar to zombies, but they're not. Then we've got Carriers from 2009. Essentially, it's post-apocalyptic, and 4 friends basically survive a global pandemic and go on a road trip, and they want to live in peace. And obviously, you can tell where this goes south. But it's got Chris Pine in it. That's a good one. And then what do we have? We've got Blindness.
All right, Michael, we need to wrap this up.
I'll finish it up. The last one that everyone kind of went, World War Z 2013. Essentially, watch that one. That one's funny. Be quiet, get sick. And then, my personal favourite was Hackers, but that's completely different. That's me done. There you go. There's your movies to watch if you want to watch viral pandemics. Sorry I trailed on with that, but I just thought that was fun to watch. Done.
You missed one, Contagion.
Oh, sorry, yeah. Contagion. So essentially, this is by Steven Goldberg, and it's got Gwyneth Paltrow in it. So essentially,
from memory.
Yeah, and essentially it's a deadly new virus, and it's a thriller, and it works on how disease spreads. And essentially, there's the initial difficulty in finding the cure and conspiracy theory, and essentially,
there's a conspiracy theory right now saying that the virus in Contagion is COVID-19.
Yeah.
Because it very closely mirrors the epidemiology of...
Absolutely. But the bit that makes me laugh is, the movie Tangled. Rapunzel was kept in a tower, and the kingdom is called Corona.
And she's in quarantine in the middle of her life.
Moral of the story, cut your hair, So that's my wrap-up for viral pandemic movies. Back to the
Getting back to... We're going to do our quiz today.
Yes.
Make a cake to find out which season you are. I'd like to think I'm winter.
Okay.
But I could do with autumn. I could go past autumn. So, what do you reckon you are? I'm going to say spring.
Okay, I'm going to say winter.
You reckon? Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to say winter.
Alrighty, ready?
Yeah.
Choose a cake flavour. Chocolate, lemon, vanilla, or carrot cake?
Chocolate.
Lemon.
Frosting. So we have chocolate.
I don't know if I want lemon or if I want carrot. Let's go lemon.
Okay, lemon. So we have what frosting? Do you have chocolate? Do you have strawberries? Or do you have vanilla? Or do you have cream cheese?
Cream cheese.
Frosting. Going chocolate. Then we have... Well, you can do this one. Choose
a topping. Flowers, fruit, more frosting, or marshmallows.
Topping.
I'm going to say fruit.
I'm going to go fruit. You thought I was going to say marshmallows. Choose some sprinkles. Rainbow sprinkles. Okay, so...
Ball candies on a person's palm. Multicolored icing on stainless steel spoon. Multicolored candy balls. Close-up photo of sprinkles.
They didn't plan this one out very carefully, did they?
No.
So stainless steel spoon. It looks like the
stainless steel spoon.
Multicolored candy balls look exactly as the same as the multicolored icing.
I know, but what are you going to do about
it? Okay, I'm just going to go for the multicolored candy balls.
Okay,
yeah. If it wants to select. Yep, it's selecting. Who do you eat your cake with? 1, I'll give it away. I'll have it with friends. I'll eat it by myself. Or I will eat it with family.
With the fam.
With the fam. Okay, so let's see. Me. I once ate a whole chocolate cake by myself.
Once,
multiple times. So I'm going to say with friends. Okay. Shit.
What'd you get?
I got Summer. The polar opposite of what I am. You're Summer. You're easygoing and you love to relax. Yay! Analgesics.
What?
What? That escalated quickly.
Winter.
What?
You love to hang out in the snow, hide under a blanket with a good book, and drink hot drinks.
Damn it.
Sucks to be you, fam. Sucks to be you.
So,
Alrighty, hoity-toity. I think it's time.
it is time.
Are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready for the time.
Hey, it's Corona time right now. It's Corona time.
Alrighty, enough of that.
Yeah, welcome to
The weekly news wrap-up.
the weekly news wrap-up. Yes, so...
Evidently, you can tell by us being here in the middle of the afternoon that Victoria and New South Wales have gone into non-essential lockdown.
Yep, which also means that all restaurants, cafes,
Bars,
clubs,
gaming venues,
yeah,
anything that isn't a pharmacist, a supermarket,
a hospital,
a petrol station,
all non-essential, shut down.
Yeah. Well, we went around and we found
a few
the
that
opposite.
were the
but
opposite.
What are you going to do?
So, things are starting to wind down. Some people aren't taking it too well. Essentially, it's a case of supermarkets are open. Anyone who's saying that supermarkets will be shut down, the government or your government will not shut down a supermarket. Maybe get reduced trading hours, but if you shut a supermarket down, you will get mass hysteria. You will basically...
people need to get a chance to buy the things they need because not everyone had the opportunity to stock up, and there are people who are just buying as per normal. Like, some people just buy the things they need for the day, or 1 or 2 days in advance because they simply don't want to or they can't afford to stock up to buy 3 months worth of food at once.
Exactly.
But so from what I understand, Victoria is what I can speak on. School holidays start tomorrow. They've been brought forward a few days.
Enjoy.
And then everything at this stage is projected to go back to normal on the 13th of April.
Yeah.
But keep in mind that this is a virus. It could potentially be around forever.
Yeah.
It's not just going to be like we live in our houses for 3 weeks. The people who need to go to work, and then boom, the virus is eradicated.
Yeah.
So
that's what they're trying to do. In Italy, there was a total lockdown, but, essential stuff still kept,
Well, you had to
going.
prove, didn't you, that you were shopping for one specific reason.
Yeah.
So, look, it's going to get worse before it gets better. It's the first time it's ever happened in our history.
Yeah.
Especially when people were panicking because whether you live interstate or whatever, or your family is, for example, say that you live in Brisbane, but your family lives in Sydney and you want to have to cross the New South Queensland border, those borders are closing. So you have to get in and quarantine yourself.
Yep.
So people are making the hard choice of, do I just pick up and leave and spend time with my family or whatnot? And people are worrying about their health insurance and things like that. So it's just an all-around shitty time.
Yeah, it could have been handled a little bit better, but at this stage...
And people are spreading wrong facts, like saying young people aren't getting sick. It's not that young people aren't getting sick, it's the fact that young people are harbouring the virus and shedding it for such a long time, asymptomatically, that by the time they get the virus, you have to go to hospital and be in ICU and get serious medical care. Yeah.
And the other thing that, I won't go heavily into it, but if you wish to go and have a look into it, everyone has... variations in their major histocompatibility complex. And this is a big part of why some people get sick and others don't. You can still be a carrier, but essentially what the MHC does, it's a group of genes and it codes for proteins found on the surface of cells. And similar to things that we are going to be discussing further down, I don't want to start heavily going into it, but it's just interesting because there's a lot of people who don't understand how simple immunology works. And it's more effective. The people who are scared of the unknown are panicking now. What people need to do is just need to, it's hard for me, hard for everyone else. You can't tell people to calm the farm. As much as you wish for them to calm the farm, they're not going to. It doesn't work like that. Because think of the society as a bell curve. You've got the average, like that dead smack in the middle where everyone's,
If you want to talk about the bell curve, right? Specifically in Melbourne, how big would you say footy culture is?
Massive.
Right? There's two things you live for in Melbourne. That's sport and food.
Yep.
They shut down food, and the AFL actually said, you know what, we're postponing our season. To do that, those are the two biggest trades. You can also pull in fashion as number 3. But food and sport are Melbourne's two biggest trades.
So-
and for them to say we're closing until May,
Yep.
that tells you how serious this is.
And an interesting fact, when the Premier Daniel Andrews actually got up and stated that, okay, we're going to be reducing non-essential places, people thought that liquor stores were shutting down. So there was a sudden influx of alcohol purchases. So essentially they've decided not to close liquor shops because, one, it's an addiction to some people, and unfortunately it's essential. So
It is essential, and also it's a very big government.
Massively.
It does inject a lot of money into the economy.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are stocking up for Easter.
Yeah.
Because Easter's only in 2 weeks. And a lot of people are now going to have to be home with their kids.
Yeah.
And so day drinking, it's going to be just like Christmas.
Yep, that's
where
what it is.
people are just going to be day drinking at home, dealing with their kids, and that's it.
Yeah.
And you know what? If they're going to try, like the smokes are out.
Yeah.
You can't get smokes. What's your alternative?
Drink.
There you go. You got to give the people something.
Yeah.
Not that I'm saying I have 52. I don't have a single
No.
bottle of alcohol in this house.
And we're not saying smoking is bad. All we're saying is people need what they want. Have to get what they need. And if they can't get it, they choose something else.
Yes, and
Yeah.
alcohol provides a large boost to the economy. Is all I'm saying. So.
Because essentially it dulls a lot of the... It's
Well, that
inhibitory.
and
Yeah.
It's that, and it just people are going to buy it.
Exactly.
It doesn't matter how long it takes for them to drink it.
Yeah.
You can't refund anything at the moment. There's no
can't.
change of mind purchases.
No way.
Unless something is expired and you have proof of evidence. Like when we buy our noodles, sometimes they are completely rotting, and
Yeah.
you can only tell because it's in the bottom of the packet, right?
Yeah.
So you have to open the sleeve, and then you pull out the packet and you see there's mold there, and then you go back and say, "This is my product. Here is my receipt." You can see the date of the expiry date is 5 months from now. I just want to exchange it
Yep.
or refund it because you don't have the item. They will do that. But if you're merely going up to them saying, "Oh, sorry, I've got 52 bags of toilet paper and I done fucked up," they're going to
Yep.
say, "Get fucked, get out of our store."
Yep.
Because you're part of the problem.
I done fucked up.
So, I wonder if that's started. Do you have stories of that?
Are there...
Of people coming in yet
Not
to
really.
do it?
I think because media-wise, everything has been put out saying no. It's...
But for those signs to be out, people must have tried to do it.
Yeah, they have.
That's what I'm saying. Like, they wouldn't just print those signs for no reason.
Seriously,
whatsoever.
who needs 17,000 bottles of hand sanitizer?
Do you know people are actually vlogging this experience?
Yeah.
People are actually putting out videos of their sheds, their their pantries. And I say pantry, I mean it's like the size of 5 walk-in closets.
Yeah.
But like food, right? People are also doing they've just hoarded a ton of shit.
Doomsday preppers.
And you know what? Maybe we're the crazy ones who haven't done that.
Actually, I'm thinking we actually watched some Doomsday preppers today.
Look, it's too triggering. It's too triggering.
But here's the other thing I realised too. Military personnel. You've got people who are on patrol at the moment. They are
Police.
going to be in the submarines and they're going to be in the ships and they're just going to be out there. They're not going to bring them back to land. They're going
No, they're healthy.
Exactly. So I do know that they're...
That's why they live on bases separate to civilians.
Exactly. So some of these ships are actually being turned into quarantine. And it made me realise the last ship.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oof.
So close to home. Yeah, good series.
Look, at the end of the day, I'm not going to say I don't care if I get it, because I would be out of commission for a lot longer
Yeah,
than the quarantine is. Or the lock-in is, I should say.
yeah.
However, if I got it, it wouldn't be as big as a deal.
No.
I don't have any comorbidities. I'm not asthmatic. Thankfully, I think my lungs and my lung tissue are okay.
Yeah.
So I can deal with it. I don't have any inhibitory ailments to my immune system.
Yep.
What I am more worried about is the fact that I had to catch public transport every day, come into contact with people every day, and that's what bothers me. I don't give a someone gives it to me because I can deal with it.
Yeah.
I just don't want to spread it to other people who can't
Yeah.
afford to get the virus, whether it be monetarily or health-wise.
Yeah.
So
'Cause,
that's just me.
I know for a fact that if I get it, I'm out of action for a little bit. So
Just a little bit.
just
a little bit.
just a little bit.
All right, are we ready to
Let's rock and roll.
rock and roll? I delayed this as much as possible without shoving our schedule out. So I'm not trying to cash in on the times, but it's an epidemic, not a pandemic.
Yep.
All right. So today we're going to be talking about the 15th and 16th century sweating sickness. Because you guys will remember when we did the autism / vaccine craze episode that we did 2 months ago.
Yep.
And I said I wanted to get started with epidemics. I delayed it for as long as possible, but I figure I'm just going to cover it now.
Yep.
I hope you don't mind.
No, go for it.
So it's again, I'm not trying to cash in on anything. It just happens to be the way the scheduling worked out for the episodes.
No
So
stress.
in terms of references, I read Encyclopedia Britannica, History.com. There was some stuff in Discover magazine, History Today, the Pharmaceutical Journal, and a paper published by Heyman et al. 2014 in Viruses, entitled "Were the English Sweating Sickness and the Picardy Sweat Caused by Hantaviruses?"
Interesting.
So, do you know much about this topic before we get started?
I do remember learning about this. So it's, I remember studying this in microbiology and also a little bit of genetics.
I never studied it, but I knew about it because I'm really into English literature.
Yeah, so
Stuff.
I think also too, some games have mentioned it too in the past, but I did study this, so it's going to be nice to actually hear all about it again because it is very, very interesting.
Well, interrupt me if there's something you want to add or if I've got the wrong information.
No, I think you're pretty much going to be on the money.
Okay, so just give me a second to zoom in.
Zoom in.
I'm not wearing my computer glasses. I just realised. Press pause. Not really. Press pause.
So,
Press pause. I'm doing it. I'm
yeah.
looking for them.
So,
I know where they are.
in case some people were wondering, sweating sickness is
Oh
not...
my god, you're reading the script for
Yeah.
once. Wow.
Yeah, so sweating sickness, also known as English sweating sickness, or English sweat, or in Latin, pseudo-anglicus, was a mysterious and contagious disease that struck England and later continental Europe in a series of epidemics beginning in 1485. The last outbreak occurred in 1551, after which the disease apparently just vanished. It just poofed, gone, whooshka. The English sweating sickness came in 5 major outbreaks. There was one in 1485, 1508, 1517, 1528, and 1551.
Can we just take a pause?
Absolutely.
What do you think? I can't comprehend the year 1485.
I can't either. It's like, think about it, 12 AD.
I can't comprehend that
My
time.
brain just kind of goes...
Like, the numbers make sense, but as a year, the numbers don't make sense.
No,
Does that make sense?
It's crazy because we're now in 2. 1 minute it's going to be 3. The people in 3030 are going to be, I don't understand, like 2020.
You had to put a computer into a wall to make it work and charge it. No, mine's installed in my brain.
And people are
going
to be looking at it going, oh, you look at all the big things in history like, the Black Plague, all that sort of stuff.
Well, the Depression, things like that.
And now,
the Cold War.
Look at the Spanish flu,
Influenza.
things like that. And obviously we're going to cover that too. But also, back to English sweating sickness, the onset of symptoms was sudden, like, g'day, how you going? Creeped out behind the couch.
COVID-19.
No, it just sits there. And unfortunately, death often occurred within hours. Its cause remains unknown, although it has been suggested that an unknown species of hantavirus was responsible.
Right, I'm going to take over.
Absolutely, fire it out, because
Okay.
I'm having fun with this.
Oh, continue then. Get to the next section.
Absolutely. And also, too, hantavirus causes hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, HPS.
So this is where I wanted to give you some background info
Absolutely.
about hantaviruses, because we were like, oh, it's an unknown species. It could be potentially an unknown species of hantavirus.
Yep.
And then I was like, what the hell is a hantavirus? So please continue.
So HPS, not HSP. It's not a halal snack pack. It's hantavirus pulmonary
A
syndrome.
pulmonary syndrome snack pack.
Imagine that, a pulmonary... Sorry, I've just come down with a pulmonary
What's his
kebab.
name? Billy, I want
Billy.
a pulmonary snack pack.
Give me a pulmonary snack pack. Thanks for the kebab. HPS is one of 2 potentially fatal syndromes of zoonotic origin,
Which
called
means
by
that it's crossed from animals to humans.
Yeah. So, and just quickly too, regarding corona, what a lot of people I think were shattered at was that getting a virus from a bat does not cause you to turn into Batman. So yeah, bad joke, Devo. And that's why some people there's an actual one where there's a nuclear power plant, and down the road there's a spider farm.
Spider boy
doing this thing as a spider boy can. Okay, so yeah, so there's
some other examples of hantaviruses.
Yes.
So viruses that are in the hantavirus family include Black Creek Canal virus, also acronym to BCCV, New York orthohantavirus or NYV, Mongo Hela virus MGLV, Sin Nombre orthohantavirus, which is SNV, and there are apparently a lot of hantavirus genera that are native to the US and Canada, so obviously being North America.
Yep.
And this is because apparently rodents are the principal hosts of hantaviruses.
Yeah.
So in Northern America, we've got the hispid, not we, because we're not from there, but they have the hispid cotton rat, Smygnon hispidus,
Yep.
in South Florida, which is the principal host of Black Creek Canal virus. There's the deer mouse in Canada and the Western United States, which is the principal host of Sin Nombre, yes.
And also, just one quick thing regarding the orthohantavirus. Ortho is Latin for upright.
Yeah, because the thing...
Yeah, pretty much.
Is the group up?
Yeah.
Are the groups up?
Yes, the group's up. I think, but also too, it's because upright. So humans are upright. I think no. Actually, no.
Are you serious? That's what you take from that?
No, because ortho is Greek for upright. So
yes, but when it's in chemistry, it means
something
you know,
else.
there's ortho and there's
Yeah.
like 3 different things. It means something different.
yeah, sorry. Scratch that.
Hold on, while we're here, let's just find out, okay?
Yeah.
To Wikipedia we go. There's such the hold on, let me read this. What the far out?
Well, essentially, all I know is that it was single-stranded, something like that. It's a negative sense RNA virus. Yeah. So it's a single-stranded, enveloped, negative sense RNA virus in the family Hantaviridae of the order Bunyavirales. Essentially, they normally infect rodents, but do not cause disease to them. There you go.
Yeah.
Essentially, we can become infected with hantaviruses through contact with rodent urine, saliva or feces. So essentially...
Apparently it means that vertebrates are the natural hosts.
There we go. Upright. We're upright. There you go.
You got it. You
Got
were
it.
halfway there, buddy. You were halfway there.
Yeah.
Vertebrates backbone standing. Gotcha.
Orthodontist.
Ortho is teeth as well.
Yes. So, yeah. But,
Not a leg doctor, darling.
yeah. So the other thing too is...
It's an orthopedic surgeon.
Yes. But I find not funny, the hantavirus pulmonary syndrome, the HPS, is also known as hantavirus cardiopulmonary syndrome, HCPS. So essentially, this is why, certain people with heart conditions get taken down from these viruses.
Well, that's the thing, because pulmonary deals with your circulatory system, which takes into account not only your heart and not only your lungs, but your arterioles, your arteries, your veins, your venules. So anything that touches blood is part of that system.
Yeah. So also too, people, you got to make sure you just practice proper hygiene. But sometimes too, bats flying around the place. This is why people keep their pets indoors. But zoonosis, sure enough, is one of those things. But you got to understand, viruses are way older
and
than us.
hantaviruses also, in Australia, we get them for horses.
Yeah.
Because the bats eat the fruit trees and they drop the fruit, and
then
the horses go eat those fruit droppings. And then we had a massive quarantine, was it like 5-6 years ago? And thoroughbred horsing farms literally lost millions upon millions of dollars. And like the horse racing was thought to be out decades.
Yeah.
So, who knows?
But, you look at things, I remember we touched base on, we were talking about Kuru. We've mentioned Kuru in the past.
I think we've mentioned it in
but
the
in the sense that bovine encephalitis and stuff like that, foot and mouth disease, anything that's going to damage agriculture.
Can you stop rubbing your feet, please? Because it...
Rocks the...
Yeah.
Rock on. So essentially anything that's going to damage agriculture and infrastructure really,
So then I went on to say that humans may become infected with hantaviruses, and like you said, sanitation.
Yes.
Because contact with rodent urine, saliva, or feces, which you can imagine in the 14 and 1500s, sanitation
Look at
wasn't
London.
really a thing.
Jeez.
Rodents were everywhere. So this is a really good cesspool if you are a hantavirus. And also the Black Plague, we also know, took advantage. What is it, bubonic plague or some shit like that?
So the cause.
Wow, look at you! You're trying to rush this
Yeah.
today. You want in and out. Wow.
The cause is the most mysterious aspect of the disease, and I suppose commentators blame the sewage, the poor sanitation, contaminated water supplies of the time. Because you look back at those images of some of the photos, and also
there were no photos of the 1500s.
I know, but imagine
they're drawings and depictions.
Work with me here. Like, people have seen the movie El Dorado. Like, you know, it was colourful.
El
like
Dorado
that.
was what was it, 16, 17? Yeah. That's not right, Michael. We're talking at least 2-3 centuries before then. You don't talk anymore.
I'm just trying to cheer people up, you know.
So the first confirmed outbreak was in August of 1485. And this was at the end of the War of the Roses, which, if you're a big fan of English history and literature, you'd know the importance of this war. Because it led to the speculation that he may have been brought over from France by the French mercenaries that Henry Tudor asked to help him gain the English throne.
Talking about wars, did you ever hear about the War of the Cabbages? It was actually fought between...
Did you see his face? It's
Yes.
not impressed.
It was actually fought between rival leprechaun clans.
Oh, really?
That's why they have that's why we have St. Patrick's Day.
Oh, really?
It commemorates,
Are you being serious, or are you talking mad shit?
I'm talking mad shit. Yeah, it basically, St. Patrick's Day really commemorates the great...
That's not...
It really commemorates the Great Cabbage War of the Highland leprechaun clans, and essentially what it was,
I thought the Highlanders were Scottish.
They are, but there was also
St. Patrick's Day was the Irish.
Exactly, but this is the conspiracy.
You can't talk this mad shit because we have people from Boston that listen to this podcast.
Yeah, I know. Boston legal too. Hey,
all right, don't talk anymore.
That comment was firm.
You don't talk anymore. Okay. So you be quiet. So they suspected that there was an earlier outbreak that may have affected the city of York in June of 1845 before Henry Tudor's army landed, but the record of these symptoms and the disease at this time was not adequate to say for certain that this is what it was. Interestingly, there exist some newspapers, as it were. Croyland Chronicle mentions that Thomas Stanley I, Earl of Derby, he used a sweating sickness as an excuse not to join Richard III's army prior to Tudor's victory over Richard at the Battle of Bosworth. People also say and point the finger that it could have been a relapsing fever. And this relapsing fever is apparently spread by ticks and lice, and it's known to occur over the summer months, as did this sweating sickness, because that's when the ticks and everything are out to feed off the animals, like your deer and whatnot. So it makes sense that people are out doing outdoor activities and a tick gets on you, similar to Lyme disease would today. So it follows the trend of relapsing fever.
Yep.
So if you have relapsing fever, they diagnose it by seeing a prominent black scab at the side of the tick bite, and then you get a subsequent rash, so very similar to, again, Lyme disease. I'm so grateful that in Australia thus far we don't really, at least where we live, we don't have to deal with Lyme disease.
Lyme disease is shit.
So, several researchers have noted that the symptoms overlap with hantavirus pulmonary syndrome and have proposed an unknown hantavirus as the cause. And a critique of this hypothesis argued that sweating sickness was thought to be transmitted from human to human.
Yeah.
Whereas hantaviruses are rarely spread that way, because you can imagine the vets with the horses, like they were in full containment when they were doing the autopsies.
Yeah.
But there was no horse to human transmission.
No.
So, however, more recently, the hantavirus outbreaks in Argentina have suggested that there is a possibility of human-to-human infection contamination.
Joy.
So, way back in 2004, a microbiologist by the name of Edward McSwiggan, he suggested that maybe it was anthrax poisoning that caused all of this.
Yeah.
And he hypothesized that the victims could have been infected with anthrax spores that were present in raw wool or infected animal carcasses. And he said, look, let's exhume the victims for testing. But as far as I could tell, that has not been done up until today.
Edward McSwiggles.
So let's talk about the signs and symptoms, if you will. And the most referenced person who described the symptoms and signs was John Caius, and he happened to be a practicing physician in Shrewsbury in 1551 when the outbreak occurred. And he put everything down in his work, A Broke or Counsel Against the Disease, commonly called Niswet, or Sweating Sickness, that was published in 1552. And like I said, that's the main historical source of knowledge of the disease.
And we love knowledge.
Mm-hmm. Yes, that we do. So he reported that it began very suddenly, with a sense of apprehension, and then you had cold shivers, sometimes very violent. People had experienced giddiness, headache, severe pains in the neck, shoulders, and limbs, and they were very, very exhausted. And then the cold stage lasted anywhere between half an hour to 3 hours, and then that's when the hot and sweating stage really kicked in. So you can imagine a very, very high fever, and in those days they didn't have much to help fight a fever. So the characteristic sweat broke out suddenly without any obvious cause, and the person who experienced this said that they were very hot, they experienced headache, delirium, rapid pulse, intense thirst accompanied the sweat. And that makes sense because you're going to be very, very thirsty when you have a fever. So he also described palpitation and pain in the heart as being frequent symptoms. He did not say that there were skin eruptions, so therefore that kind of ruled out the relapse. Relapsing fever, that's right.
Yep.
I was going to say relapse tick bite, but that's not right. So he said that in the final stages, the person was either generally exhausted to the point that they would collapse, or you just couldn't wake them up and stop them from needing to sleep.
Yeah.
And so he thought that if you leave the person to sleep, that would be fatal.
Yeah.
So he would would tell people, just try and keep them awake. Don't let them sleep, because if they sleep, that's it, they're gone.
Yep.
He also noted that one attack did not produce immunity, and people were known to have suffered several bouts before dying.
Yeah.
The disease tended to occur again in summer and early autumn, so it makes sense, and he hypothesized that it could have been spread by insects. Interestingly, this was a trend I didn't know about, but the disease seemed to be more severe among the rich and less among the poor, and the young and healthy were more frequent victims, making it unlikely to have been a form of influenza or typhus. And then so what their reason there is young kids would be out playing in the grass or whatever in summer, spring. Therefore, it would be more likely for them to be bitten if it were spread by an insect, if that makes sense, because the elderly wouldn't do that. However, every outbreak, except for the second one, all the epidemics were severe with a very, very high mortality rate. All of them except for the second outbreak. Does that make sense?
Yep.
So, I guess we can head into the epidemiology.
Yeah, and also, I suppose, being medieval, it's,
A different time.
Yeah.
A very, very different time. So, in the 15th century, the 1400s here, the sweating sickness first came to the attention of physicians at the beginning of the reign of Henry VII in 1485. There's no definitive statement that the sickness was present in troops that landed at Milford Haven. It's known that Henry arrived in London on the 28th of August, soon after the Battle of Bosworth, and that the disease broke out on the 19th of September 1485, so just under a month worth of time. It was known to have killed several thousand people by the end of October that year. Included in the death toll were 2 Lords Mayor, 6 aldermen, and 3 sheriffs. And then it really became known as the sweating sickness, and people were very, very alarmed. It was regarded as being quite distinct from the Black Death, which was one of the biggest epidemics in modern history. Because the Black Death has a pestilential fever, and the fever and sweating that people experience with sweating sickness had a very rapid onset and had a fatal course. It was known to reach Ireland in 1492 when the Annals of Ulster recorded the death of one Mr. James Fleming, who was the 7th Baron of Slane. Is that how you would say that if you were Irish?
Yep.
From the, how do I say those words? Ply a lie?
Yeah, that's about it. That's how I do it.
Come to Ireland?
Yeah. Play a lay.
Disappointing!
Play a lay.
The Annals of Connacht, would that be Connacht? I don't know. Also recorded this in an obituary, and they said that there was an unusual plague in Meath of 24 hours duration. People recovered if they survived it beyond that 24-hour period. Oh. Yes.
Just to put something into perspective, as we mentioned the Black Death before, what a lot of people don't realise is the Black Death pretty much obliterated about 60% of Europe's population during the 14th century.
Yeah, that's why I said
it's
one
just
of the biggest.
It's
yeah. It has nothing. Corona's got nothing on it at this stage.
That, in a sense, is just mind blowing. Like, just the Black Death, just gone,
decimated.
Yeah. And it didn't matter whether you were a Tudor.
It didn't matter how much money you had. It didn't matter if you were a king, if you were a leader. If you got it, you were done.
Yeah.
So the plague... Sorry, not the plague. Where am I going with this? It didn't attack infants or little children. However, this guy who wrote in this Annals of Ulster said that the plague was a sweating sickness, despite the similarity of the names, and he thought it to be relapsing or famine fever, possibly typhus.
Yep.
And then we fast forward to the 16th century, also known as the 1500s. Sorry, are you going to say something?
No, I'm listening.
Also known as the 1500s. And then nothing was recorded relating to sweating sickness between 1492 and 1502.
Yep.
But people have speculated that it might have been the condition which afflicted Arthur, Prince of Wales, who was the elder brother of Henry VIII of England.
And you have to say it. Arthur, King of the Britons.
Why would I do it when I got you to do it perfectly?
Arthur, King of the Britons, what is the average wind speed velocity of an unladen swallow? Sorry.
African or European?
I don't know that. Ah!
So, Arthur,
King of the Britons,
and his wife, Catherine of Aragon,
Queen of the Britons,
in March of 1502. And the illness was described as a malign vapour which proceeded from the air. I'm like, wow. But you can't laugh. Like, what else do they know? These are the same people that thought that viruses and bugs just happened to come from, frogs would just come out of the water one day.
She turned me into a newt.
Oh,
but she turned me back again.
Do you know if I got put back in time, they would hang me as a witch?
How shit's
as
that?
they killed. So they also suggested tuberculosis, also known as consumption, as we spoke, the Black Plague, and influenza.
Yep.
Apparently, researchers opened up Arthur's tomb.
Arthur's tomb!
In 2002, but they could not determine his exact cause of death. So are we going to say something?
No, I was just going to say, it sounds like a bad episode of Bones.
One possible cause was a genetic ailment which also affected his nephew, Edward VI.
Carry on.
Okay, thanks. Now that I have your permission, can you stop shaking the table?
Sorry, I'm excited. I have the shakes. It's an epidemic.
Stop. Catherine recovered, but Arthur died on the 2nd of April 1502 at his home at Ludlow Castle, 6 months short of his 16th birthday. And then a less widespread outbreak occurred in 1507, and then a third and much more severe epidemic later that year, which also spread to Calais. It was frequently fatal. Half the population was known to perish was recorded to perish in some areas, and it reached epidemic proportions in 1528 during its fourth outbreak. Apparently, it first broke out in London at the end of May, and it speedily spread over the whole of England except for the far north. It was not reported to have spread to Scotland, but it did reach Ireland, where Lord Chancellor Hugh Ine, is that how I pronounce that?
Yep.
Oh my god, I'm killing it today.
Yeah.
Was the most prominent victim, obviously because he's a Lord Chancellor, but let's not get too, excited. Of course, they'd talk about him.
Hugh Ine.
The mortality rate was very high in London, and Henry VIII broke up the court, much like ScoMo should have done.
Yep.
And he decided to leave London, and he frequently changed his residence. Then the disease suddenly appeared in Hamburg, and it spread so rapidly that more than 1,000 people died in a few weeks.
Yeah, that's not good.
Corona, anyone?
Corona.
Then the trend was that it swept through Eastern Europe as an epidemic, and it caused high mortality rates. It reportedly entered Switzerland sometime in December.
They have the Swiss.
And then it was carried northwards to Denmark, Sweden and Norway, as well as eastwards to Lithuania, Poland and Russia.
And you know why
Russia.
you know why we love the Swiss? The Swiss, the friendly Germans. That's a bad joke. Excuse my accent. Not bagging anyone, but that's the joke. The Swiss, with their chocolate, their beer and their tight little pants. Robin Williams, the king. That's the line. That's the joke.
Okay. So, cases of the disease were not known to... Oh, shit.
Yeah, here we go.
Oh,
Here we go.
I got triggered reading that,
Dum,
especially with COVID.
Minus second chords for everyone.
Cases of the disease were not known to occur in Italy or France, except for in the Pale of Calais, which was controlled by the English at the time. By the England. Stephanie, who the hell are you? It also emerged in Flanders and the Netherlands, possibly because it was transmitted directly from England by travellers.
Yep.
And it appeared simultaneously in the cities of Antwerp and Amsterdam on the morning of the 27th of September, specifically the morning of the 27th of September in the 1500s. But that's okay.
Yep.
In each place, it was known to have prevailed for a short time, generally for not more than 2 weeks. And then by the end of the year, it had completely disappeared everywhere except for eastern Switzerland, where it lingered into the next year. Nice. And after this, there were no further outbreaks on mainland Europe.
Ooh.
So the reported final outbreak of the disease occurred in England in 1551. And did I just... Okay, and this is when John Caius put his book out.
Yep.
And so he said in his book, the 7th day of June began a new sweat in London. The X day of July 1551 and the Kyne's Grace removed from Westminster unto Hampton Court, for there died the English is terrible. So people were dying, merchants were dying, men and women were dying, both young and old, because of the sweat. And then on the 14th day of July, the Dukes of Suffolk died of the sweat, both in one bed in Cambridgeshire, and died from like 2 days, he tried to say.
Yep.
The 7th day of July unto the... Is that 14th?
Yep.
No, that's 19th day of the sweat in London. All the dynasties, and no more in ale. I'm sorry, I'm not good at reading Pauper's English.
Yeah, Pauper's English.
Reference is made in the Annals of Halifax Parish in 1551 to an outbreak there that resulted in 44 deaths. And then apparently in a town called Tiverton, Devon in 1644, they had an outbreak that they called the sweating sickness, and they recorded it in the Martin Dunsford history. And they said that approximately 443 people died, and 105 of them were buried in the month of October.
Wow, that's that's not good.
And when you can think about, there weren't that many people back then, so that would literally be almost half a town.
That's almost like a village wipeout.
So no medical particulars were recorded, and the 1644 date falls well after the generally accepted disappearance of sweating sickness in 1551. However, a similar illness occurred in France between 1718 and 1918, and that was known as the Picardy sweat. Some dude called Lewin Roberts, he said there was a great similarity between the two diseases. Apparently it was also accompanied by a rash, but it was not described. The English symptom, like the symptoms of the sweating sickness were not a rash.
Yep.
Again. So there's this guy called Henry Tidy, and he said that John Kai's reports said that where they were fatal within a few hours in which no eruption may develop. And in 1906, the outbreak of Picardy sweat struck 6,000 people, and bacteriologist Andre Chantemesse led a commission which studied it, and they attributed infection to the fleas of field mice. And then
Blame it on the mice. Of mice and men.
And then Henry Tidy found no substantial reason to doubt the identity of Pseudo-Anglicus and the Picardy sweat.
Yeah.
So people say that the fact that the disease may have killed Prince Arthur, the heir to the throne, and that's what rushed the tumultuous reign of Henry VIII, really altered the course of history as we know it.
Yep. And also too, regarding the Picardy sweat, it's got nothing to do with the new Star Trek series come out that's got Jean-Luc Picard. It's not called Jean-Luc Picard.
I'm so glad you made that distinction.
Yes.
Because we all would have been so
Absolutely.
worried.
Anyone who got confused between, this and Star Trek.
Oh, yeah. Totally understandable.
Absolutely, completely.
So, in summary, the English sweating sickness could not have been contracted from anthrax spores in wool. Sorry, can I rewind?
Sure.
Thank you. English sweating sickness could have been contracted from anthrax spores in wool, but inhalation anthrax was likely rare because there was no industrialised wool production at the time, so you'd think you'd need to get a lot of spare spores into you to have that kind of thing. And then so one researcher whose works I looked at said, the paper that I read said, I suppose the thing to do is to dig up a few unfortunate victims of the sweat and look for spores. And then to also answer the question, why did English sweating sickness occur in random summers? It wasn't one after the other. It was times apart. One answer could be climate change, because the sweat coincided with the beginning of a 300-year period of cooling trends in Europe. And that was triggered by a series of volcanic eruptions in Indonesia. So there could have been erratic seasonal fluctuations similar to El Nino events we see today, where there's a lot of water. Yeah. So it's just washing away the topsoil. Yeah. And then whatever's buried underneath
it's all coming
surfaces.
Up. Yeah.
So there are reports that outbreaks may have followed years when crops were damaged by floods. So again, it just becomes exposed.
Yep.
And then regarding vectors of a potential hantavirus, rodent numbers we already know increase during summer and spike when the trees are particularly productive, because that means there's a lot of fruit. If there's a lot of fruit for the mice, that means there's going to be a lot of mice.
Yes.
And that means there's going to be a lot of snakes.
Yep. Ecology. There's like flora and fauna.
Anyway. So that's pretty much it.
Very cool.
That's all I have for you today.
No, that's awesome. So
a little bit of a shorter one because I wanted to kind of have it up
really
ready for you guys, because I'm sorry I'm a bit late this week.
But it's interesting too, because you look at the way society dealt with these kind of pandemics. Now,
you died. There's nothing to do.
But similar aspects of what communities did then, they're doing now.
Essential oils.
Essential oils. So obviously barricading people away, quarantining, that sort of stuff. Self-isolating. I'm assuming people on the ISS at the moment are looking down, kind of going,
I'm not coming home today.
I'm just going to stay up here for a bit.
Yep.
I'm going to give them space, literally. See what I did there?
Oof.
Jeez. So, but I suppose the best thing that we can do is obviously we can also go into a nice big Corona talk. I think we might do that first.
You want to do pandemics?
Yeah, we're going to do pandemics. Because obviously we have pandemics, we have endemics, all that sort of stuff.
I wanted to hit a medium niche.
Yeah.
I thought I'd knock out the epidemics, then if you wanted to move to the pandemics.
Absolutely.
Just for consistency.
Yeah.
Because I guess...
Because then we can really discuss heavily about viral load and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, we can
also go not only Corona, obviously, but HIV, cholera, influenza, typhus, smallpox, measles.
Dysentery.
What's the other one? Tuberculosis. Yeah. We can also cover Zika.
Exactly.
As well.
So. And also, too, I think I will go further into the MHC, just because I find it interesting.
Well, you know what, buddy? Make a podcast
episode
and I'll move some stuff around.
Yes. So
that's it. Do you have anything else to add before we get this party started?
Also, too, just in case if people want to know how the spores actually, survive, they call these things called
endospores.
Endospores. And then
And they
you've
have
also
a thick
got
wall.
caspids.
And they have a thick lipid wall
Endothelium.
that prevents them from getting desiccated.
Getting blah blah. And also too, it also comes down to antigens and antibodies. But also too, if you do not have the receptors on your cells, the virus cannot bind. Therefore,
Oh, and people also consider purchasing what's that, bug spray, AirGuard, or whatever your home brand alternative is.
Because mosquitoes.
If the mosquito bites someone that has the virus,
You got it.
and then transports it to you, you're essentially fucked.
Yeah.
I have literally 20 mosquito bites on my body right now,
Yeah.
and I've been going to every shopping centre, and
There
I
are.
think I used to get them from the bus in the mornings.
Yeah.
Because you know how they leave the doors open and the mosquitoes come in? So you can slap a few, but like my body's quite covered. We've got this big one in the house, so I just try and stay in the living room.
Yeah.
But
And also too, we also stumbled upon the fact that there are some people out there freaking out about hand sanitizer. Now, just in case you really want to push the letter, and
just
you
wash your hands.
wash
The only
your
time you
hands.
should be using hand sanitizer if you cannot get access to washing your hands.
Yes.
It's not. It's an alternative to washing your hands,
But
but
it
it's not
doesn't
the
be-
ultimate alternative.
No, it's just a interim.
It's exactly.
So-
So if you were, not that you can do it in Melbourne right now, but say that you were out shopping and then you said, "Oh, I'm going to get myself a coffee." You do your shopping, you'd order your coffee, you'd pump sanitizer into your hands.
Yep.
You'd cover your hands. You'd hold that coffee cup.
Yeah.
And that's it.
So what some people can also do is, for instance, you can get isopropyl alcohol or rubbing alcohol.
I'm not promoting
No.
this. I'm not promoting any making, because there are actual people who need to make hand sanitizer.
Absolutely.
Because people are fucking buying everything up and they can't access it.
Oh, no,
Just like
I
people
was
are
just saying...
No, we're not giving that information away, because hospitals are going to need to make it.
No, I was
Hospitals
just going to
need
mention
masks,
why...
not stupid people
I
going
was just
shopping.
going to talk about why they have ethanol in it.
Do you know today there were 7 people I saw wearing masks, gloves, plastic gloves,
Yeah.
and then they're touching their face.
Yeah.
They're holding their phones to their face. And I looked at them and I went, "You stupid idiot. What was the purpose?"
There's no purpose.
In any of that. You're wearing gloves because you want to have that barrier there, and then you're touching your phone anyway.
Also, the other big dumb, this is a very big dumb, if you're wearing latex gloves and you're wiping your hands down wearing the gloves with
You're going to break down
hand
latex.
sanitizer that contains alcohol in it, you're going to break the gloves down. Nitrile is a little bit more resilient, but latex is useless.
And look, don't take the gloves and masks and sanitization equipment away from people who actually need it. Just
They
because
need
you're
it.
going shopping, second guess what you need to go there for.
Yeah. Do you really need to go there?
And this is not aimed at anyone who's just general shopping. That's completely normal.
But there are
this
some-
is aimed at people who are just like, you know what? I need to buy 50 rolls of toilet paper today because why the fuck not?
Yeah, but there are people out there who are literally freaking out over this, and that's some people. But
What are you doing? All right, that's it from us this week.
yeah, so
If you're sorry, finish what you're saying then.
no, I was just going to say. So that was pretty much an insight into the sleeping sickness. If you bump your head and you feel sleepy, that's a concussion. Don't mix the two up.
Now that you've
Mentioned that. Sorry, that was just the joke.
If you are looking for our podcast, we actually have a topic request form that
Yes.
is always linked down
Fire
below.
one out.
So if there's something specific you wish for us to cover, please voice it. Also, give us your handle, whether it be Twitter or Instagram, and your pronouns, so we can appropriately shout you out. We are also on Apple Podcast, Podbean, Spotify, Stitcher, TuneIn, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, and email. Everything is Controls and Couches, except for our email, which is controlsandcouches@gmail.com. He is FullMetalChicken. I am Stephfafahh.
Yes.
And we are coming to you from Corona Lockdown.
Corona lockdown, but also too, for all those people interested in how I keep my feathers so shiny and clean, I preen myself, very clean. It's called hygiene. See, hygiene rhymes with preen, and preen rhymes with clean. But then again, most chickens roll in the dirt. So there you go, defunct. I don't roll in the dirt.
The Animal House just emailed me because someone was using a chainsaw on the other side of the wall in the behavioural suites.
Wow.
Outside. in the garden area
Jeez.
without permission.
Jeez. So that's going to affect any behaviour. Wow. Good job,
The
buddy.
literal one suite of the animal house that needs to be quiet is where the tradesmen were rushing to finish their work today.
With a chainsaw.
With a chainsaw and mulcher.
Great job, guys. Well done.
And oof. Oof.
Oh, joy.
Thank God I was not running behaviour and I'm on a lock-in because I would be crying right now.
Yep, that would be really bad.
Alright everyone.
On that note,
Thank you so much for listening. I hope you have a fantastic... you'll hear from us on Sunday, obviously, because we're going to record this week's episode tomorrow. But this episode is going up within the next 20-30 minutes. And I think that's it from us.
and on the quick topic of fear,
Oh, God. Remember the TV show Fear Factor?
yeah,
My brother reminded me of a thing called Scare Tactics.
yeah, scare
Do you remember
tactics.
that TV show?
Yes.
Yeah.
I also remember that I threw a boomerang a few years ago,
Oh, not this joke again.
and now I live in constant fear.
It's alright. Nothing you drop comes back to you. You wait for someone else to pick it up.
Yeah, I know, right?
Oof!
Oof! Oof!
And
Oof!
that's the tea.
That's the tea. And on that note, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. Enjoy our creche. You know, we have snacks.
Stay safe. Stay healthy, everyone.
For everything else is MasterCard. Literally. Uber. Deliveroo.
No. Actually, maybe Uber is still working.
Yeah.
Is Uber considered an essential service?
Well, it's food, so of course they're going to be delivering.
No, but because they've got the no contact thing. on
Yeah,
the
so they
bottom.
drop it off at your door.
Oof.
Interesting.
That's good.
Yeah. So,
Alrighty.
oh, well. Yeah, until next time, I am FullMetalChicken.
Oh, also, did you hear that Uber has a rewards program now?
Really?
Yeah. So you start
That's
at
pretty
Blue.
Uber of them.
Oh, and we should also mention you got promoted to the top tier for EB Games.
Yep, pretty much. Top tier. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Alrighty, hoity
Literally.
toity. I like the card though.
Yeah, the
card's
card's
like
cool.
a chic jet black.
I'm
by the way.
chic EB. Pity they didn't let me keep the old card.
It was pretty rubbed out though. I
Yeah.
used to live with I now can tell the difference between the platinum card at QBG.
Yeah.
Because it's silver.
Yeah.
And EB the jet black card.
Yep. Very cool.
Alrighty everyone.
So thanks for listening. Thanks for watching.
And you'll hear from us.
I hope you enjoyed the subtitles.
Actually, we have auto-generated subtitles, so
Ah,
if you're watching this on YouTube.
well, there you go.
Alright. May the force be with you, and
May the
also with
force
you.
be with you.
Alright, wrap this city up.
We're going to wrap it up with gift
Alright,
wrap
stop.
and put a ribbon on it.
Okay.
For
No, social distancing.
Social distancing. Now, remember, when you listen to this, so you don't get corona from us if we have it, you'll have to listen to this at 1.5 metres away from a screen.
It's 2 meters now.
2 metres now.
Yeah,
So you have
yeah,
to
that's
download
right.
this from 2 metres away. Just be careful, okay? Be
Hold
careful.
your AirPods.
Make sure,
2 meters away from
make
you.
sure you watch.
Can we talk about one more conspiracy just
Sure.
before we close?
Absolutely.
Alright, so last week we had this thing where we were like, shit, what if... Because you know how I'm a doomsday prepper.
Bum, bum, bum.
And I'm a conspiracy theorist.
Yes.
I was like, oh, let's just get a little bit of candles, just in case,
Just in
you know,
case.
the power goes out, and that's completely
Gosh.
fine. And then we went to Dusk, because Dusk was having was it a 40% off sale?
Yep.
And so we walked out with a bag that normally would have been $300
Yeah.
for, I think, a low price of, what was it, 40?
Yeah.
Less than 40. And then so we went in today because I just wanted to see what was there, if the thing was still running. And they changed the sale, and they
Yeah.
thought they were going to be really sus about it. But joke's on you, Dusk,
Yep.
because I made out like with a steal.
Absolutely.
Alrighty,
On that note,
we're done.
we're done. Signing off. We're out. See you next week. Au revoir.
Alright, and end it.
And end it. Haha. Ended.